folks, Rachel here from Beads by Rachel, bringing you a tutorial on crochet with wire and beads. So as always, whether you're with me live, whether you're watching on replay or on the YouTube replay, do give me a thumbs up and do pop me a note in the comments below. Let me know if you do basic crochet. This is just a basic crochet stitch. Don't worry if you haven't done crochet before. I'm sure you'll get the hang of it. The only difference to basic crochet is just adding the beads in. Now the good thing with this is that you can make a bead soup with it. I think it gives it a bigger texture by blending in beads. In this, I have got some freshwater pearls. Now I didn't have many of these left, but they're one of my favourite colour. They're like a strawberry pinky red. And in there I've also got a few rose quartz bicones that I had left. And I've also got some cherry quartz and some 4mm quartz. So I think texturally it's really good if you can add different shapes in. I wouldn't say to go any bigger than probably 8mm because it kind of makes the beads stick out a little bit separate from the wire. What I'm going to be showing you is how to add the beads, how to add the clasp, and I've actually done 2 single lines on this one and then I've joined the 2 together. I found that the 3mm gave a really nice length. If you have anything too long, you're going to have the bead slipping inside of your stitch. So I would say 3mm is ideal, maybe 2.5. The size wire, I'm working with, call it 0.3. Bundles have got 6 meters in silver, in gold and in rose. And they will be enough to make 1 necklace each, and you might have a little bit spare. In 3 lobster clasps in silver, 2 in gold, and also soldered rings as well. I found the soldered rings are better because at least with it being so fine, open jump rings, it might fall through the gap. You'll need your standard cutters. So let's zoom in. What you would need to do before you start this project is you would need to actually thread on your beads. Now because I'm only doing a sample piece, I've only just done a small amount. I found that lengthwise about 14 to 16 inches will do 2 strands, because obviously you're going to be making a couple of plain crochet links in between. This is what I've actually added. Leave yourself about 5 inches. To start off with, form a loop like so. Okay, just like you would in standard crochet, but I'm covering all of it in case you've never done it before. And with the tail end, we're going to cross that under the middle and we're going to bring that up to form a loop. And it's actually a sliding knot. Now I can only show you how I hold it, but what I would say is do whatever is comfortable. This is my tail. I tend to wrap the tail around my little finger. Now, like I say, you want to keep it nice and loose, and you're going to go wrap from right to left around your hook and pull through the loop. So apologies if you are already crocheters, but I'm just going to do this for the benefit of people that aren't. Let's just get in closer there. So wire over hook, hook through the stitch. Okay, wire over the hook, hook through the stitch. I wouldn't do any more than a couple at the end there. Now I'm going to shimmy on my first bead and you're going to carry on as normal, but with your bead locked underneath. Wire over hook, hook through. So that has locked in place. Now you can, it's up to you, but I like to do random. So I've done one chain, single chain. So this is chain stitch. I've got a 4mm hematite bead that I've shimmied up there, hook, or I should say wire over hook, and then I'm just going to do another single. Like I say, we'll try and do some random. So this is a very rustic look. So wire over hook from right to left, pull it through, and then you might even want to add 3 in between. But it's very random, but I think that's what gives it its beauty. So we'll keep going. It's just such a beautiful way of incorporating your beads. So wire over hook, pull through again. So again, that's single crochet, and as you can see, I've got random gaps in between. If you want to, you can actually make it the same amount of gaps in between. The choice is yours. Focus out of camera, I should say. The 14 inches will do both strands. I think I said that, and I tend to find it easier to just to thread it all on at the same time. So that's what we've got. And I meant to mention, let's just go out a little bit, that you can go down to 0.2 as well. So if you want something a bit softer and finer, you can do that. So you would carry on, as and when you finish that, what you would do is you would trim your tail, again give about 4 inches, and just do a single crochet and pull the whole thing all the way through, and that secures all of that in place. Obviously you'd have done a much longer piece than that. It's 2 that I prepared earlier. These are fluorite gemstone chips and 4mm rose quartz. Now what I would suggest is that we're going to actually attach the clasps. So I've done them exactly the same length, and I'm going to attach one end of the clasp. I'm going to trim these so that they're both the same length. I'm going to trim them down just a little bit. And let's go with the clasp, the lobster clasp. Now I'm threading that through the whole of the lobster clasp, and then I'm going to go back round again to secure it in place. You can do it individually if you want to. Then when you've done that, I would wrap it a couple of times. Now ideally what I've done before is I've actually had a bead a little bit further up, which I made too far a gap. But what you can do is, if you've got a bead a bit further up, let me show you on this one, like this one, you can just push your spare wire through the bead and trim, which is what I've done there, and that way you've got no raw edges. You can trim that off with your cutters, and I suppose what you could always do is you could always put a crimp cover on that as well if there was any rough edges. But to be honest, because it's such fine wire, that actually feels quite nice. So that's really secure. What we're going to do now is actually wrap both of these round each other. So I'm just twisting away. Obviously don't over twist, because you'll find that you've got yourself a choker necklace. You can have it single if you want to. I'm going to trim this end down a little bit, And this time we're going to go through the soldered ring. And as I said before, the reason why we have a soldered ring is because with a jump ring, a soldered ring or a split ring, with a soldered ring you haven't got any gaps like with the jump ring, so it's quite, you know, it stands a chance really of finding its way through that very fine gap. So we just wrap that round there. You see it's nice and neat. Trim that off, and there we go. A clasp finish. So this is the finished effect. Now, the other thing I was just going to mention is if you want something just to slip over your head, there is nothing stopping you from not even having a clasp. You could join the one end to the first hole as you would in circular crochet, and likewise I would twist it first if you're going to do a double strand, and then make sure you join them up, and then you can just slip it over your head. So there you go. But I hope you enjoyed that. So I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, it's a pleasure having you all join me, and do let me know how you get on. Take care. Bye.